Hello. Welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. Sorry, it's just my back garden again. I've been feeling a tiny bit under the weather, just a sort of sniffly sort of cold. And with the nights drawing in and everything, the prospect of going and sitting in a dark, possibly damp woodland hasn't been so appealing, so I've been staying closer to home. Is that visible from here? This, I think, is now the last of that case of 6 different wines from hand-picked Burgundy, which I have to admit this time round hasn't been particularly successful, all told. I've had some great wines from that merchant in the past. I think I was just probably being a bit stingy this time and just not shelling out enough to get the really good stuff. This is not saving the best until last. This is the cheapest of the lot. It came in at just shy of 20 quid. I think it was something like £19.80. A lot of their prices are quoted ex VAT, but that was, with the VAT, it was £19.80, something like that. So just under 20 quid for a Burgundy from the Côte de Nuits, sort of. It is just a generic Bourgogne Rouge appellation. It's Vignes, and the producer is called Machard de Gramont. I did a little bit of research about this. Although the producer is based in Nuits-Saint-Georges, down towards the bottom end of the Côte de Nuits area of Burgundy, I think the fruit for this comes at least partially from Marsannay, or actually just to the north of Marsannay. So really the absolute northern limit of Burgundy, really, but particularly of the Côte de Nuits, almost jutting into Dijon there. Hopefully I can show you a bit on the map. I think the vineyard is called Le Chapitre. I'm not even sure it's within the village boundary of Marsannay. It might even be slightly north of there. I seem to not drink very much Marsannay. I always got the impression it's a little bit light. I don't know where I have that idea from, but it's only just to the north, not far to the north of Gevrey-Chambertin, so you'd think it would be would have at least some similarity with that end of the Côte de Nuits. I mean, I don't know if it's entirely Marsannay Le Chapitre, the fruit for this. It does look pale looking through the bottle, doesn't it? There might be some blend of some other fruit, or possibly even some Nuits-Saint-Georges in there, who knows. Hand-picked Burgundy's notes on this described it as a good midweek Burgundy. It is a Wednesday, so I suppose that's appropriate in that sense. I think that's sort of code for saying, yes, it's cheap, deal with it. Don't expect too much, perhaps. As always, 20 quid would be, in terms of supermarket wine, towards the higher end of the spectrum, wouldn't it? I think that's a sort of composite cork there. It does look a little bit on the pale. Oh, that looks very pale. Wow. Okay, did I say it's a 2021 vintage? So it also is going to be on the young side. Okay, so despite the challenging lighting conditions, as always, even more challenging than usual, would say that looks on the light side. I managed to get a bit of cork in there, I think. Sort of pale, quite translucent. I think I'm initially getting that youthful Pinot Noir sort of smell. Maybe something like a little bit of struck match, or the striking paper from a box of matches. And a sort of brambly kind of, something slightly abrasive about that nose. So I'm reminded a little bit of, I suppose, blackberries, but possibly the smell of the stems as well from, you know, a whole bramble bush, a whole blackberry bush there. Matches, brambles, sandpaper. That's a riff on the striking paper from matches, but those sort of smells. Some sort of dark fruit in amongst all of that. It's not exactly a beguiling nose from the outset. Maybe it needs a little bit more of a swirl. Okay, the swirl has changed things significantly. It's allowed a little bit more of that fruit to come out. I'm getting a little bit less striking paper from the box of matches. Maybe a little bit of black cherry emerging now. Okay, slightly better. All right, let's give this a sip. It's relatively light. A little bit savoury, probably going to be okay as a food wine, I imagine. Having this with something a bit like Melanzana Parmigiana. Not that it matters. Or it does matter, I don't know. There's certainly not much in terms of, you know, concentration or intensity or anything that I would associate with Gevrey-Chambertin, for example. It's a much lighter, sort of less powerful style of Burgundy here. I don't think I'm getting a lot of tannin, a little bit of a hint of acidity there. And again, more of that sort of, I don't know, blackberry-like character, maybe a little bit of dark cherry thrown in. I'm sort of put in mind of slightly more hedgerowy things now as well, like hawthorn berries, haws, I think. I've got to be careful saying that. H-A-W-S, rosehip, that sort of thing. It's putting me in mind, perhaps it's just the season, the fact it's dark, and I've got something like a hedge off to one side here. Bit hedgerowy. I mean, in a way, some things about this remind me of English still red Pinot Noir. The producer, I've always thought, was relatively decent was Davenport. They made a still red English Pinot Noir from somewhere in Sussex. Some aspects of that remind me a little bit of that kind of English hedgerowy sort of expression of Pinot. And like I said, sort of savoury kind of quality, quite dry, quite savoury. Not a huge amount of fruit, but it's all right. I think this will do for, as the notes on Amping Burgundy said, for a weekday evening, extremely modestly priced, £19.80. It's one of the probably the cheapest. Was that the cheapest Burgundy I've featured so far on that I bought in England? Slightly cheaper when I was in France last year. It's getting there, if not the cheapest. It's got to be in that realm, and it's actually drinkable, so I can't complain. Not amazing, obviously it was never going to be, but doing its own thing, light, savoury, dry, not hugely fruity, bit hedgerowy. It's okay. Cheers.